Just 3 months ago, I recorded a video back in Germany talking about the expected costs of living moving to Colombia. Now that I actually live here, it turns out that the reality is quite different to what I expected or read online. So let's talk about money once again. By the way, if you enjoy this channel and you think this is great content, then please hit the like button. You wouldn't believe how big the impact of a single like is on the YouTube algorithm. So let's start with a category that a lot of people tend to oversee or forget: energy. So electricity, gas, and water. First of all, those things are state-run in Colombia, right? There's no free market for energy. You don't have competition, or you can't choose between different companies offering you the best price. The big advantage though is that those companies here send you monthly bills and monthly breakdowns of your energy consumption, whereas in Germany I just get a yearly bill and I don't really see, how my behavior affected my consumption over the year. So I think that is a really positive thing, because when I first moved in, I didn't really bother too much about my energy consumption. I got a new air conditioner. I just put that thing on jet mode every single day, almost 24/7, because I didn't really think about it that much. Then in December, I received my first electricity bill for November, and I was quite shocked to see that I used 360 kilowatt hours of energy in that month. And I thought, well, that is completely off the rails. I completely underestimated the impact that this machine has on my energy consumption. So over the next weeks and months, I tried to adjust my behavior to bring that down. So in January, I consumed about 250 kilowatt hours, which is about 30% less than in November. But here's the surprise. I still pay today around $60 per month just on electricity. Now keep in mind, $60 is around 23% of the average Colombian income, right? So if every Colombian would live like I do, with the aircon, the TV, charging phones and laptops every single day, they would end up spending 1/4 of their income on electricity. And that is just, to me, absolutely mind-blowing. Just the gap between the income and how expensive, relatively speaking, the energy consumption here is just completely blew my mind. So I wasn't surprised to see that when you drive around the city at night, that you see a lot of very dark buildings with no lights burning, simply because people have to watch out for their energy consumption, because every single hour switched on electric devices is gonna cost them a substantial amount of their monthly income. Even more shocking than electricity to me was my water consumption. So in November, again, I didn't care too much about how I use my resources. I ended up with 7,000 liters that I used to shower, to wash my clothes, and of course to water the plants, right? So the plants are actually a major factor in this whole thing, because of the climate and the heat, I have to water them every single day. And I didn't think about that when I bought these plants. And when you look at how I was able to bring down the water consumption from 7,000 to 3,000 liters in January, saving about 57%. That is not because I stopped watering the plants every day. I still have to do that. So instead of washing my towels, for example, or my underwear or my jeans every 2 or 3 days, I now try to extend that period so that I only wash them every 4 or 5 days. But still today, I pay around $26 per month just on tap water. Now, what's very interesting is that on this bill, you see a 60% surcharge called contribution, and that surcharge depends on the area that you're living in. So if you're living in a rich area, then you're basically subsidizing the lower income areas just by paying more for your consumption. So looking at my gas consumption, you can see that there's a crazy jump between November and December, going up by a few 100% basically. And that's because in December, instead of going out to eat, instead of ordering food every day, I had a period where I ended up cooking a lot for myself and other people. So I ended up consuming a lot of gas in December, and then now in January I turned back to, ordering food and going out a lot more. So for gas, I spend around $8 per month. Now the next big category that we want to talk about is obviously groceries, food, everyday needs. To find out what that costs in Colombia, we are going to check out a Colombian supermarket right now. And that also gives us the opportunity to talk about cost of transport. Because in fact, Uber shut down the service here in Colombia. They're now illegal and banned. You can't use that app anymore. But there are plenty of Colombian alternatives. They work and they are even cheaper than Uber was when they were available here. In terms of transport, as long as you're in a relatively big city, you don't really have to worry about that too much. All right, ready to go? But before we go, switch off the aircon to save energy. And I just booked the ride, and I love this app because when you book a ride, then drivers can bid against each other. Free market competition, I'm a big fan of that. And also for a 3.7 mile, 20-minute ride, I ended up paying $2. That's a fair deal. When you first enter a Colombian supermarket, other than the much more attractive females walking around and the weird chairs in every aisle, and people actually sitting on them while browsing the products, it doesn't look very different at all. The details start to emerge as you're looking at the prices for fruit and vegetables. 70-cent avocado? Jackpot. I love avocados. 30 cents for a bunch of bananas? Perfect. But that's about it. Check out how expensive convenience food is here. $6.50. $6.50 for 3 cans of diced tomatoes. That is unheard of in Europe. $4.50 for the cheapest pre-made pasta sauce. European chocolate is basically as valuable as gold. $10 for a small pack of Rocher chocolate. Extremely disappointing is also the frozen pizza section. Only a couple of brands, tiny, cheapest quality, no diversity at all. Heading to the meat section, you will notice that a lot of strange parts are for sale. Pig and chicken feet, stomach, heart. Minced beef, which is even called economy meat, for 80 cents for 500 grams. Impressive, but would I eat it? Probably not. You'll find an extremely wide range of arepas, which is a local delicacy. It's basically a dough made from corn flour. Milk comes mostly in these extremely impractical plastic bags that fall over in the fridge. Wine also seems somewhat overpriced. The cheapest red wine in a box still costs $6. So for all of these things combined, I ended up paying $33. And given the fact that I didn't really buy that many luxury items, I mean, I got one Red Bull and one piece of salmon, which I would consider luxury, I think it's not really that cheap. I think it's surprisingly expensive. So when you come to Colombia and you're not willing to change the way you consume, then I don't think, especially in the supermarket, you're not going to end up saving a lot of money. In fact, if you're not careful, you're going to end up spending even more living your life in Colombia. Now, the biggest chunk of my monthly expenses we haven't talked about yet, and that is, of course, rent. I have to admit, I'm quite privileged in the sense that I live alone. I have 2 bathrooms. We have a swimming pool on the roof. We have security watching the house 24/7. We live in a central but quiet area. So I think it's the overall perfect package for me. Now, even in Colombia, that comes at a price, and that price is $700 per month for this apartment. Now, I didn't even attempt to negotiate the price, and I didn't even compare a lot of apartments. I was just fed up with hotels and Airbnbs, so I just took the offer and I moved in and I signed the contract for 8 months. But obviously for Colombia, that is a lot of money. Now, in summary, I spent $1,400 per month, with the rent being the biggest chunk of 50%, and then groceries 26%. I think if you come to Colombia, then you can save a lot of money by, living in a smaller place or, eating chicken feet. But for me, as of right now, this is how much I spent here in Colombia, fixed costs that I have. If you want to continue together with me on this journey here in Colombia, then make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video for the YouTube algorithm, and see you soon.